Hey guys, how's it going? Matt McNeil coming to you from the garage, working on some Ed Wolves, and not just one. So I've haired 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Eds in the last week, and that's not even including Ed number 1, which I actually went back on Friday night and re-haired, because after spending a week hairing these guys, I learned a few things and decided that I was going to take a different approach to hairing them. My initial idea was that I was going to buy a wig, and the wig that I bought was, was this wig, because it's an ombre wig. I've cut some stuff off of here, so some of the ombre is not there anymore. But it started black at the top, and then as it went down, it got to be a lighter gray, because if you look at the reference shots of Ed, he's both gray and mixed with black. Well, this is a great wig for that, because what I can do is cut the hair, double it up, cut it once again, so I end up with lengths of hair about that long, and then I punch those. And that's great. But I will tell you that doing that straight literally will just give you straight gray wolf hair. And what I wanted to do was to be able to control the level of color in this hair. And the way that I've done that is I bought a secondary wig, which is a long black wig. And as you can see, this one's been brutalized as well. But I cut long pieces of black hair, double them up, and sometimes I mix them in with the gray, and sometimes I punch them straight, particularly in areas where I want to create shadows. And this is a great example. If you look at Ed in any of the reference pictures from the movie, he has this sort of white tuft of hair that sticks out from his cheek. And if this were all gray, it wouldn't stand out. You wouldn't see it, you know? It wouldn't give you any kind of contrast to that shape. So what I did was I went back and punched in black, mixed it in with the gray. And I do that with all of these sort of like under areas, because I can create shadows without like having to paint the skin. I'm a big fan of trying not to paint shadows when I can avoid it. If I've done a good enough sculpture, the sculpture should be able to represent the shadows that I'm trying to convey without me having to paint them. Now, I know that there are certain, exceptions to that. Stylized stuff, skulls, it's hard to create negative space on a human face. I understand. But, and look, I'm nostrils, I'm painting the inside of these nostrils, the deep inside of these nostrils black. Why? Because, I'm not going to sculpt the sinuses. So anyway, so I use the hair, the color of the hair, to sort of model and pull your eye to and from areas. Now, looking at it here on this camera, I feel like I need to come in here and add a little bit of black just behind these hairs here. If you look at the references, you'll see, but maybe this needs to be a little darker, just a little bit, just that ring around the top, which is easy enough because I can come in and just sort of like punch in a couple of lines of black hair, and that'll be that. So so 5 of these have been haired. The 6th has been re-haired. Actually, here's a great example of me using the black. You can tell the difference between the hair on this one and that other one, because you can see that this creates more of a frame for the face. Now, I do notice here too, I'm going to come back in here and add a few stray hairs. I'm not going to fill it out, but I'm going to add some stray hairs because it's got a little bit too much of a bald spot at the moment. So anyway, well on the way with the hair on these 5 guys. The next thing that I did this weekend was I inserted and glued all the teeth, but before I did that, I went and painted all of their gums. Now, these mouths are not done. I'm about 3/4 of the way through because there's one more sort of gloss step that I want to do. Obviously, I need to gloss the tongue a little bit more, and then I'm going to put another layer of gloss on all of this so that I can make the teeth look a little bit wet and give them some drool coming out of this side of the mouth. But one of the things I wanted to show you was the way that I'm painting these gums. Now, again, in nature, there are sort of rules, and generally the rule is that there's no such thing as 100% black. Well, there's also really kind of no such thing as 100% red or pink or blue or any of those colors. And if I said, what color are gums? And you said pink, well, you'd sort of be right, but not really. And the reason you wouldn't really be right is because gums are made up of tiny dots of colors, capillary ends, skin cells, and all of that stuff that at a distance look to be pink. But if you go in and look, let me see if this is, if you look in here, you'll see that there's some variation. You see that? Little dots of red here. Let me take his tongue out. There you go. You see those like little spots and dots and color breakup? Well, what I did was I painted Ed's gums initially kind of a yellowishy pink color. Again, look at the references. His gums are dark. And then I added the sort of black spots that dogs and wolves tend to have in their gums in the original paint. But then what I decided to do was, in the first coat of gloss, I wanted to suspend some color that would break up that initial paint job. And so what I did for that was I bought something that I kind of didn't really even knew existed as a full-on product, but I bought epoxy pigment. And it just takes a couple drops. And what I did was I mixed their pink, which is kind of a very, very bright pink. And because of its brightness, I added a couple of drops of their white to just knock it down enough that I wasn't looking at, 1980s Cyndi Lauper's gummy bracelet colors. But had I just stopped there, you would just end up with a gloss that had a tint coat, really, and no variation in the color. So the next thing I did was I bought some of this, which is flocking. A lot of people use it like automotive stuff to like coat the inside of glove boxes and stuff like that, or jewelry boxes or whatever. It's basically tiny little pieces of lint that are colored, little strings. And I took a couple pinches of that, mixed that in with the pink tinted epoxy with some 99% alcohol to thin it down so that I could brush it on. And then I also took some red yarn, because I didn't buy the red flocking. I probably will. But I took some red yarn and just cut the tips of the red yarn off, mixed it in just so that the flocking wasn't so monochromatic. And then I came in here and painted it on. This is actually, you can see really well on this one. Let me turn on this light. There you go. Now you're seeing the deal. So what it does is it sort of randomly breaks up the color so that you're not looking at a solid paint job. It gives you more of a organic sort of look to that. So next what I'll do is I'll come in here and I'll gloss this tongue, and then I'll put another coat of gloss. I think we said this already, and then a little extra drool, which will put this sort of coloration one more step back. It'll bury it one more step back, which I think is going to be nice. So there's that. And then I also did paint the tongues this weekend, which is great. I got those done. And then currently I have a blank in the mold drying. And some of you have asked about blanks. Very soon I'll start doing blanks. I just want to get the teeth down, and that's what I'm doing here. Sorry, I washed the inside of the window of my 3D printer, and no, you can't see anything in there. But I'm currently printing a set of Ed teeth, that's what the layer looks like at the moment as the 3D printer goes in and comes out and goes in and comes out. And every time it goes down, it exposes a layer of resin and then it pops back up. So I've got that going on there. And then over here, I have another tongue curing in my tongue mold. And then I have a set of teeth here curing because this is UV resin and the sun is UV light. I'm gonna turn it over now. We'll get this side good and cured. And what happens, you put it out in the sun, and it'll actually finish the curing process, because until you get it cured, it's not 100% strong. And you know, you wanna cure it because the chemicals are not good for you unless they are cured. So we are curing those at the moment. One other thing that I did on these though is initially this model for the teeth, I was printing upper teeth and lower teeth as two separate files. It was taking 4 hours to print the teeth because the upper teeth would take 2 hours and the lower teeth would take 2 hours. And the way our 3D printer works, resin printer anyway, it doesn't matter how much stuff you print left to right or side to side. The only thing that dictates the print time is the height of what it is that you're printing. So in this case, this model is dictated by that fang right there. So the taller that fang is, that's how long the entire model is going to print. So now what I've done is I've squeezed all the top and bottom teeth. These are the top teeth. These are the bottom teeth, all into one file. And rather than 4 hours, I can print an entire upper and lower set of teeth in just over 2 hours, 2 hours and 2 minutes. So I'm really happy about that. But I'm happy, you know, I'm also having to figure out how to make these user friendly. So if I sell somebody a blank, that they're not prone to breaking teeth as they use them. Because I found that, anyway, through a couple of tests, I printed them thick and printed them thin and longer exposures and stuff like that. The longer the exposure, the more difficult it is to get the teeth apart. And I had broken a few teeth. So anyway, I'm just trying to make that user-friendly before we start selling blanks and all of that stuff. So yeah, we are rolling here. Got these guys printing. There you go. That's the layer. And we'll be finishing up these wood. The other thing that I'm trying to figure out exactly is how to finish these. But so I 3D print these as well, and these are going to go here, I think, because when I sculpted him, I left a spot for that. This isn't finished, by the way, but you know, so that there's a nice little plate on the back with my, you know, that I did it. I'm proud of it. I feel like I should put my name on it. But there you go. So anyway, yeah, we are moving, getting stuff printed and haired and glossed, and pretty soon, hopefully, once I figure out what the stand looks like, these 5 are going to be in the mail and off to their happy homes. So there you go. Hope you guys are up to good stuff in your own garages today. And I'm going to get back to it. Time to throw some gloss on these teeth. All right. Talk to you guys later. Have a good one.